hope that's okay with you. Okay. I'm going to hit the record button and figure out where to pin this. I don't know. Awesome. So thank you all for being here. We'll wait a couple more minutes, see if anybody else joins us. But got a couple of new names over here, so maybe we'll do introductions first before we get started with this. And I don't expect this to take a full hour, maybe a half hour, depending on how many questions you all have. But we are excited for this new round of funding to support a new project. So I'm excited to tell you all about it. Okay, so I'll just start by introducing myself. I don't want to keep you guys too long. My name is Remy Pengel. I am the Executive Director of Repowering Schools and super excited to be talking to you today about one of our sponsored research programs. But Repowering Schools is a nonprofit that supports renewable energy education and workforce development around the country. We offer lots of different types of programming. Sponsored research projects is just one of many. We also have some project-based funding opportunities, travel scholarship opportunities, and we have an awards program, and we are starting to build networks of like-minded folks to create communities around things like college clubs and schools with renewable energy projects. And so we are excited to tell you more about this hybrid system design project. But with that, I like to kind of just go around the room and introduce each other. So I will just call a name, and then if you can introduce yourself and then call another name on the list. So just keep passing the mic around the room. And so I'm going to hand it off to Ian.
Hello, everybody. Ian Baringold from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and then part of the board of directors of Repowering Schools, and then have been doing work in the workforce space for a very long time. And I can't actually see the list, so Remy, if you could pass on to another.
Oh, okay. So Soad, I will pass it to you.
Okay, so hello, my name is Soad Abouelzait. I'm assistant professor at Appalachian State University, particularly the Sustainable Technology and the Built Environment. And we've been on round one, and we're so happy for launching that. Hopefully, greedy enough to go for round two. Yes. One of the first institution to teach renewable energy and sustainable technology, and one of the leading also schools in clean energy. So yes, that's us in the mountains of North Carolina, and happy to have you around. Now I'm going to call my students, and I have here Duncan and Joey. So start, Duncan.
Hi, I'm Duncan Burns. I'm one of Sohad's students at Appalachian State University. I'm about to start graduate school. I'm super excited for that. I'll be doing the appropriate technology program there. So
wonderful. Congratulations.
On Paul Wilson.
Hi, I'm Paul Wilson. I'm grants manager at Appalachian State, and I'll be assisting Sohad with the proposal and the internal approvals.
Wonderful. And Brandon, I think that's you left.
Yeah, hey guys, Brandon Tidwell here from FedEx. Good to see everybody. Just going to be kind of listening in to the program. Thanks.
Awesome. And thank you, Brandon, for helping to facilitate this project. So we appreciate FedEx. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to get started. I know that we had Jim LeGrant from UMass also interested, but not able to be here. So he will be sent the recording. But if you have any other folks that you work with that you think might be interested in this program, please feel free to share the link to the recording when I send it to you after this. And the good thing is I have all of your emails, so that's great. So this is our second round of funding through FedEx. We're super excited to work with them again to offer a new sponsored research project, this time in hybrid system design. So this is an opportunity for colleges and universities, as well as community colleges, that will focus on the design and implementation of a renewable energy demonstration project on the campus of a school, maybe a museum, a community center, but anybody who will use this demonstration project for educational purposes within the state. And we'll talk a little bit more about the kinds of clients that you might want to think about, but also happy to answer any questions if you've got ideas on clients that you want to kind of run by us. So with this program, like I said, that's a design project. So the students will spend a semester working through a kind of pen and paper design. So there's no building or implementation yet. So the first semester is simply designing a renewable energy system that meets the needs of a client. And in order to bring the students necessary expertise and research, as well as hopefully find some amazing industry mentors, we invite representatives from each team to join us at RE+, which is a large industry conference that takes place in Las Vegas this year in September. So it'll be the beginning of the school year. So it's a good time for them to come and meet people and learn about all the different components of a hybrid system, the wind, the solar, and the storage from the experts who will be at the conference. And we will provide travel support for that contingent of folks from each of the participating schools. So that is, like I said, meant for research and mentorship. And then they will present reviews, present their designs, and they will be reviewed at the end of the fall semester. And then at that point, you'll be welcome to present the reviewed designs at the Student Symposium, which we will host again at the Distributed Wind Energy Association Conference in Washington, D.C. in February of 2024. That is an optional piece. And then once all of the designs have been reviewed and submitted, the next stage is again kind of an optional. Should you want to, and your client want to, install the demonstration project that you've designed for them, then there would be an additional $1,500 in seed funding for the college to help with any expenses on that side. And then another $3,000 specifically for the educational institution to help with materials and installation costs. So over the course of the whole project, there's a total of $6,000 available to support the project, just in different stages. And then in the very end, we would invite folks to participate in the Clean Power Conference, another industry trade show, which is slated for Minneapolis in May of 2024, which could be the presentation of final implementation of the design and installation. So that's like the big overview. We'll go into each of these components in more detail. And then this link here is the link to apply. It's very similar to last year's application, if you remember that, with just a couple of things changed. So the same eligibility here. Again, we are super excited to bring in any undergraduate serving university, college, or community college. And I don't know why it says in Florida. It could be anywhere. No departments specified. We really encourage a diversity of departments, multidisciplinary teams, since that is the way this industry moves, and we need all of these folks for the proper implementation of a hybrid system design. Again, we will be looking to engage folks that we have engaged and have a historic relationship with, but also wanting to expand our network. So looking for new schools that we have not engaged with in previous programming. So there is a place for those who have done this before, and then there's also a place for those who have not. And so if you have any community colleges that you work with, any other institutions that you would like to share this with, we would be happy to have it shared far and wide. So just a little bit more information about that first component. Again, participating schools will be invited to attend the RE+ conference. Again, it's in Las Vegas in September of 2023. And this is mainly meant for research and mentor matching. So the idea being we will provide opportunities for students to engage with professionals in solar, wind, and storage, and all the other components that they could possibly need while they are there to kind of get the research that they need to then go back and spend the semester designing that hybrid system for their client. At the conference, there's also going to be a lot of opportunities for networking, and we envision the opportunity to match students and schools with an industry mentor. So if you have a mentor already that you would like to work with, you can put that into the application, and we will, we would be glad to know that. But if you do not have a mentor, we will use this opportunity at RA Plus to hopefully find you a mentor that meets your needs. I thought it would be helpful to maybe show some examples of what I envision what a renewable energy demonstration project looks like. Again, the idea is that we're using wind and solar and storage to power a load, and that load and that need would then be defined by your client. So the example over here on the left is a system that I had helped design, which was a wind turbine and a small set of solar panels powering some batteries that were then used in the winter to power the holiday lights display over in Virginia Beach. So the students had to understand what the load was of the holiday lights display. They had to know how many hours it was supposed to be on, when it needed to be on, and then from there they could size their battery, they could size their turbine, and they could size their solar array, and then the system integration part was done. So it's a very comprehensive project, but that's, I think, a good example of what a renewable energy demonstration project could look like. The one on the right is one that I found, but it's I think a great example of having like a mobile educational unit that maybe has powered by solar or has a solar and wind component to run particular equipment, lights and things like that. So I think that they can look different, but we do want to see all components, wind, solar, and storage, combined together for an educational purpose. You guys have any questions? We sparking some ideas? So I thought it would be interesting to talk a little bit about what a client could be. And again, this is really a wide open. The idea being that that it should be for educational use. So a real easy client would be a local K-12 school. Again, it's for demonstration purposes. It's not necessarily going to generate electricity for the entire school, but it could be a small wind turbine or small solar with some batteries that powers an ag facility, or it could power a greenhouse or what have you. So a local K-12 school would be a great client. Was there a question? Awesome. So I think a college campus could also be your client. So if you're at your university, but there is some sort of outdoor classroom that might need power, or there is another opportunity for demonstration for educational purposes, I think a college campus would be a great client. I would love to see museums be clients. Museums are always all about education, and having more museums that are talking about renewable energy and teaching folks about renewable energy would be fantastic. We could also, think outside the box. Maybe a state or national park might have a solar powered or wind powered picnic table so campers can charge their cell phones. Like, who knows what people need, but as long as it has an educational component that goes along with it, those would be a great client as well. And like I said, if you have any questions about what a client is, if what you're thinking about would apply, you're welcome to email me or talk to me anytime. But like I said, I think as long as it's serving an educational purpose, I think it would be perfectly fine.
I have a question, Rami.
Of course.
So since the deadline for that proposal is approaching soon, which is 15th of June, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be extended, but yes.
Yeah, we're hitting on that. But my question is, so it's kind of not a very long time frame to get into communications with maybe an educational institution. So do you need that particular institution defined in the proposal, or we can just commit to have that entity, if that makes sense? Like we're going to approach to 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, something like that.
That is a really good question. I don't remember, Ian, if you remember what we outlined in the application, but I feel like I would be okay if there was at least an idea of what we think the client might be. I don't think you have to have a commitment or anything. But I feel like it would be good to know where your head's at. Like if you have an idea of what the client might be, even if you don't have a commitment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's accurate. I can go back and check just to make sure, but that's accurate. So if you have a client, then putting in kind of a letter of support from that client, we encourage that. But if you don't have one, then kind of identifying the type of client. And then again, things can change as you go forward. So if you're looking at a school-based system for lighting or a park bench or something, as we've talked about, picnic table, then having an understanding of what that would likely be, and then just articulating that in the proposal.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I remember as well. Awesome. Good questions. This is just a little bit more information about the design deliverable. So again, the timeline would be the fall semester would be the kind of the design of the demonstration project. And at the end of the semester, we'd be looking for a complete design of the hybrid system, including schematics, parts list, costs. It would be great to see expected performance characteristics. Like this is what you would give your client if they were going to build this on their own. Because the idea is that we would like to showcase the top designs on the Repowering Schools websites as DIY renewable energy demonstration projects, because we have all the time schools saying, hey, I want to do this. And how do I do it? What turbine should I use? And what solar panel should I use? And so it would be great if we had a couple of great examples on our website that had everything they needed to pick it up and run with it. And that's kind of the technical side of it. But in addition to the technical schematics, parts, costs, that kind of stuff, it should also describe the application for the design, the load that it's going to be powering, and considerations for implementation. So again, kind of thinking from a project development standpoint, here's my client. If I were to go through this, like, would I need a permit? Do I need to, get a net meter? Like, I don't, whatever it is, like, I think considerations for implementation would be a lot of the other things that maybe the technical schematics may not outline. And Ian, if you have more information on what you were envisioning on this, please chime in. Sounds good.
Yeah, nothing specific.
Awesome. Sounds good. And so, like I said, those deliverables would then be submitted, and we would have an industry panel review all of the all of the designs and give feedback, so that if you are going to move on to the next stage of implementation, that you would have professional feedback. And then those designs would then be welcome to be presented at the student symposium that we will host again at the Distributed Wind Energy Association conference in Washington, D.C. in February. So again, it's a weird time of the semester, maybe not optimal for people to come out to, but we had a fantastic time last year. And I think the students really appreciated it, and the conference itself was very welcoming. So we would like to see that grow. To not only include these sorts of research projects, but maybe we've been even inviting more of the collegiate wind competition or solar district cup teams to come and present. We haven't really talked about how we're going to grow that, but we would definitely invite these participating schools to be a part of that student symposium. And again, that's completely optional. And travel scholarships through the Repowering Schools traditional travel scholarship program could be available, but there's no money in this grant for that. If that makes sense, like we had last year. So then after the fall semester and the spring semester, the schools would then be encouraged to go forward with the installation of that demonstration project for their clients, should they be interested in that. And if your client is interested in moving forward with that, then you would be eligible for more funding, a seed funding of $1,500 for the college to support the installation of the project. And then the client would have a separate pot of money that they could apply for, which would be a project grant for up to $3,000 to help with additional materials and installation costs. Again, thinking that the educational institution would want to own the solar panel, the wind turbine, the batteries, but the college as the installer would have funds or costs for travel and other things that we could use that $1,500 to support. Do you guys have questions about that? It's a little bit of a different format than last year.
Yeah, I mean, can you please clarify that? I'm a bit confused. So who's going to take the 1,500 and who's going to take the 3,000?
So the 1,500 would be App State.
Okay.
So you would get 1,500 to support student time or travel or other things that you would need for to be the installer.
Okay.
But the school would have the funds to then purchase like solar panels and the wire and all the stuff that they would want to own that they wouldn't necessarily want App State to own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And maybe again, Ian, Charles, you're both here now. If you have any, if you wanted to, or even Brandon, because I know that we discussed this, the reasoning behind the kind of split funding on any of this, if I'm not explaining it correctly.
I'd say you're explaining it well.
I have one question about, you mentioned the word own. I kind of missed that part.
Oh, I just, the reason that the educational client has an access to a different pot of funds would be because they are going to own this project, right? It's going to be their project. So it would make sense for them to buy
the material, well, you mean the materials, the actual wind turbine?
Yeah, the wind turbine, the solar panels, the batteries. I mean, that's, you know, if that's not the way the college wants to run this with their client.
Well, I mean, I know that SOHAD received an award last year for and got a wind turbine and some other materials and money. So my question, being a grants manager and having, you know, we have institutional policies, I have to know exactly what the educational client would end up owning.
Yeah, and that is a good question. So honestly, from my experience with the demonstration project that I showed you that powered the holiday lights, we had the air turbine, we had a couple of solar panels, and we had the batteries. And that cost probably $5,000 or $6,000 total. And I donated the tower and a solar company donated the solar panels. So this is just seed funding, like this total.
Yeah, but
$500 is not
with your project, were you with the university or?
The city of Virginia Beach bought the materials. I
would have to run that by my director, because any time the App State receives an award of any type, that becomes basically, because we're a state-run institution, that becomes state property.
Exactly. That's why
so I'm not so clear on what we could hand over to.
Right. The intention is not for you guys to, I mean, unless you want to donate something, which that's completely up to you. The intention was that the $1,500 that you would, App State would be eligible for if the installation is going to happen would be to cover student time, materials and tools that they might use, travel to get there, nothing owned. And then the $3,000 that the client receives from us would then be used to purchase the things that they're going to keep so that you wouldn't have that ownership issue. Is that making more
Well,
sense?
it says here on this slide, client educational institutions.
Right. We want the clients to be educational institutions. So it might be a K-12 school or a museum or a park or something.
So it would be someone outside of App State, another organization that would receive the 3,000.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
the intention.
Okay, I got
Yeah, I know it's confusing. I'm sorry.
And
That's okay.
Jamie, do they have to apply for this $3,000, right? The other institution?
Correct. That'll be,
Look.
and it's not really, we'll say apply, but because they're in the program and they are your client, they will receive it.
They will receive it, yeah, but
Yes.
so it will not go through App State, probably, Paul, and that will keep us
Correct. The
safe.
school itself would receive money from us directly.
Mhm.
That
Which
makes
also
that
makes
could
FedEx
still
money.
make it a little messy on my side, but I'll try to get some more information on that.
Okay, and this let us know, this is our first time doing this, and we
Yeah.
appreciate any feedback on how to
Sure.
make this streamlined better. So if
Awesome.
you have thoughts on how to make this easier, we would be appreciative.
Yeah.
And so that's really the big picture stuff. Like I said, at another optional presentation opportunity would be to attend the ACP Clean Power Conference. That is in May in Minneapolis. Again, another industry trade show. And we will continue to work with the Clean Power folks just to find an opportunity for the students to present their results, their implementation results. So this would be like, if I actually installed this renewable demonstration project for my client, we may do a poster about the final project and how all the school is benefiting from it. And that would be part of the conference. But I'm envisioning posters at this point, but that'll be an evolving conversation with the ACP planning committee on what that will look like. But again, completely optional. Have to get there yourself. There's always volunteer opportunities for the students to get free registration. And we offer travel scholarships, once again, through our traditional travel scholarship program. That would be additional opportunities for student support. So this is a little bit of a overview of what we've talked about. Just as we did last year, we will offer those informational webinars again. Right now it's kind of slated for the same schedule that we had last year, but that is something that we will continue to evolve as the schools kind of give us feedback on how many they would like to see. But those were webinars in which we invited someone from industry to maybe talk about something that is of particular relevance to their research project. But it could also be related to career advancement as well. And again, these are optional, encouraged activities, but completely optional, not required. We also offer a monthly project call where we kind of just get around the room and you can talk to your peers about what you've been working on and get any immediate feedback from industry folks that are on the call. And then lastly would be the participation in the two conferences, the Student Symposium at the DWIA conference, and then the posters at the Clean Power Conference. So again, encouraged, and we will make those opportunities available, but we understand it's a tight schedule. It's not a ton of money. So take advantage of what you can. I'm happy to kind of roll through the proposal preparation, the application, what it looks like. We do have on our website a link to the full RFP that has a ton more information. But the proposal itself will have basic PI and school information that we're gathering. And then we will be looking for a 3-page uploaded document to represent the research or project proposal. We will also look for a 3 or so page uploaded document to review the academic program. And then we will ask for at least an institutional letter of support so that we know that your university or college is on board with you going after this. If you have a letter from your client, that's great. If you have a letter from an industry person that maybe is your mentor or community partner that you're planning to reach out with, that's great too. And then the last piece of this, because we're not providing you everything that you need to pull this project off, we completely understand. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the total project budget that you perceive, and if you're planning to have like in-kind or matching support, just how you're planning to make this happen, knowing that we're not supporting financially the entire cost of your project.
Do you have a budget template? I believe you had one last year that we used.
did, but we're not asking for a complete budget. We're just, it's literally like, how much do you think this total project is going to cost, and where, how are you going to support outside of what we're giving you? So we're not asking for a full-on budget this year, because it's $1,500 of support and then another $1,500 if you want to implement it. It's not a lot of money, so we didn't figure we needed a full-on budget.
So we're looking at a total budget of $3,000. An award, if an award was made, it'd be a total of $3,000.
If you are planning to implement in the spring semester.
Is
Yes.
it gradually? I understood, Jamie, that it's going to be gradually. So you first apply for the 15, right? And then
So the first allotment would be $1,500 to supplement your travel to RE+. And then
Yes.
in the spring, if you are moving on to the second phase of the design, the implementation side of the design, then it'd be another $1,500.
so it's
that's-
another another form basically too, right?
No, we won't apply again. I think you'll just need to let us know that you're implementing, and then
That's
we'll
right.
give you the
Okay.
money.
Okay. I'm asking that because I want to clarify that for Paul.
Yes, no, I appreciate that.
and for SOA too. I mean, so your initial project budget here is, I see what you're saying. So most of this is going to be in kind, what the university.
Yeah, I mean,
can-
the intention is that this is mainly paper and pencil, like in class, they're designing. So I didn't see that there was a huge
Yes.
amount of support needed. So we went with more travel support.
It's basically going to be for the.
And Sohad and I would need to talk about the in-class portion. But
I mean, if it's easier for the sponsored program side of things, Paul, we can just call it a 1 year $3,000 and just assume that everybody's going to implement.
well, we have to build a budget,
Mhm.
right? Do you know the period of performance dates?
It would be the
Basically
full
what they're
academic
looking-
year. So, whatever your August 1st to
Okay,
But
May
I
30th.
prefer it.
so it'd be 2 semesters.
that
But
would be it.
Remy, honestly, I prefer it the way it is because the implementation part is not guaranteed anyway.
Correct.
Even if someone comes and says, "Oh, I want to do it," things change. So I prefer, having it in segments. I think it's perfect.
Well, I understand that, Sohad, but we don't want to do 2 approvals with 2 different budgets either. We could put something in the
Mhm.
record notating that, but
Mhm.
so
Just
Yeah, I
go
mean,
with it.
whatever's
we can
easiest
talk
for
about
you all, just let us know, because like I said, it's not a ton of money. So I hate to, to take up a lot of your time and effort. So you just tell me what's easiest and I will make it work for you. And that's pretty much all I have, is just a review of the kind of the scoring criteria. It's pretty much the same as last time. We'll be awarding points based on the research plan and innovation, the support from the institution, the educational objectives, the engagement of industry, team diversity, and that programmatic diversity is that idea of like, have we worked with you in the past? Have we not worked with you in the past? Trying to expand our network to universities and colleges that we haven't engaged with in the past, but it's a very small portion. And like I said, all of this is part of the RFP, which you can find at our website. The link here is directly to the application. But if you want, when I send around the link to the recording, I'm happy to send you the link to the website where you can find the RFP as well as the application link if you want to review the details.
Now, the go here to apply, that form, that's a Google form, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And so it's just going to be a couple of fill-ins, but 2 uploaded documents for the most part, and then your institutional support. Awesome. Any other questions or anything, Ian, Charles, anything that, or Brandon, that I didn't mention that you'd like to clarify?
I don't think I have anything to add. I think you covered it nicely, and I appreciated the discussion around, you know, gifting university property and the need for keep clarifying that. I think that's very helpful for the future, and we just need to make sure in our wording that, you know, the funds that are earmarked for the project are earmarked for the final recipient. But you know, the other thing is, like, the question is, do universities ever abandon things in place? You know, sometimes you put in a foundation for something and it's easier just to leave it there, right? Does that ever happen? And is there a money threshold for things that can be abandoned in place? And if that's the case, if that is the case, then that can also be another way of handling it. Is like, well, we expect you to, you know, we don't expect you to get remunerated for anything you abandon in place, for example. Something like that. It's those little details that we, of course, always overlook when we're trying to put these things together.
Yeah, no, working through the university is always a difficult situation in terms of the ownership of property, especially through the Wind for Schools program when you're like putting wind turbines up at schools. And but yeah, I mean, we have done long-term loans of product, you know, like old solar panels that nobody's using that are 20 years old. You hate to throw them in the landfill, but which university technically still owns them. So we do a long-term loan of equipment so that we know where it is. We have loopholed that before here at JMU. Awesome. Well, Paul, please reach out if you have more questions. Like I said, this is a little bit of a new animal to us. So happy to work with you to make this as easy as possible.
I think we can move forward if I think we can work it out if Sohad wants to move forward.
Of course.
We would love to work with Sohad again.
Always,
and Duncan, because Duncan was awesome too. We love Duncan.
Actually, it's one of the things that you know, made him apply for graduate school. He wants to be on that project, and yeah, he worked with me, and he went to, Paul doesn't know, he presented in Washington DC our
Nice.
Oh yeah, so it was a good experience, and appreciate the opportunity, Rami. Yeah.
You bet. It's always great to see the schools that we've worked with in the past coming back. So it means we did something right?
Sure.
So awesome. Well, share far and wide and let us know if you've got any questions as you're moving forward. But we would love to see some more community colleges engaged. So if you have a local community college that maybe, you know, throw this at them and see if that would be of interest, we'd be happy to have some new partners in this space. So.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I'm glad I didn't take up too much of your time, and please just email me if you have any questions, and otherwise I will let you get on with your day.
Thank you, Rami.
Thank you, Rami.
Thank you guys.
Okay, bye-bye.